saw you. You were laughing with passion. The wind was blowing you down to the sea. I cursed at your name, the city you flow in, the curse you have put on the sick and the sane. Flow, river Shannon, flow away to the sea. Flow, river Shannon, the river is calling to me. I stood on the bridge, you drew me that nearer. The moon shone so brightly, my shadow was pale. I'm falling for your beauty is winning. The next step I take, I'll be flown away. Flow, river Shannon, flow away to the sea. Flow, river Shannon, the river is calling to me. They say you can cross at 4 in the morning without even wetting the soles of your feet. How many more of our folks can you fit in? How many more sinners will pass on this way? Flow, river Shannon, flow away to the sea. Flow, river Shannon, the river is calling to me. Now I'll walk along the banks of the great mighty Shannon, and I'll watch all the candlelit souls flow to the sea. I cannot go in, I cannot go missing. There's a bird that I promised I'd marry someday. Flow, river Shannon, flow away to the sea. Flow, river Shannon, the river is calling to me. The first day I saw you, you were laughing.
Agus Tofoil. Welcome to be my guest with me, Mary Honan, on Lear Media TV, supporting the Samaritans, Limerick and Tipperary, Clare's Wish Foundation in Limerick, and Deal Animal Rescue in West Limerick. And my very special guests today are going to be Yvonne Cook and Joan Forde from Limerick Suicide Watch. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello. Good,
and
thank you.
For anyone who doesn't know, Yvonne is in grey and Joan is in orange, in the colours of the Limerick Suicide Watch. Actually, is the grey your colour as well?
Yes, it's kind of our event colour. So our coats are orange and our uniform inside is grey and black, but we have a bit of orange
there
going through there. So
it's a very, very oh God, I can't express the importance of Suicide Watch, the work you do in this city of Limerick. We have tragically, am I right in saying that we have one of the highest rates of suicide, certainly in the country?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
that's correct. Yes, as far as we know, that's what we believe. Yes.
Isn't that a tragic statistic that we're first for something like that, or that we're on the top of the leaderboard? I'll take you back to the start. Both you can answer whichever way you wish. How did you get involved in Limerick Suicide Watch? Was there a particular reason, or was it just something that you were always interested in? Perhaps Joan, do you want to answer?
Personally, I got involved originally because of family members, extended family and friends who'd lost someone to suicide. I'd been thinking about doing some kind of voluntary work, and I saw how badly affected not just the families, the wider circle of friends and colleagues and everything was. And it was maybe 9 or 10 years ago, there was quite a lot at the time at the river. And I had heard that there was people starting to do some kind of watch. So that's what made me interested in it initially. And I started then, and then eventually ended up with Limerick Suicide Watch a few years later when we formed 4 years after that, I think.
So you were founded in what year?
2016.
2016, but my God, you've done a massive amount of work in that. It seems like it's there forever. You know, I mean, do you find that, Yvonne, do you find that COVID has had an adverse effect in rise? Has it risen exponentially? Because every day you seem to hear about somebody.
Yes, definitely. There's definitely been a slight rise. What we have found is that, say, during the first lockdown, obviously it was quiet for a couple of months. And then coming to the end of it, we had a build-up of interventions. And then when we came out of lockdown, it's as if when people are in lockdown, they're too frightened to go out, even with the mental health, to get help. And what happened then is when they were coming out, they were at the complete breaking point. So our interventions have got a lot more physical, a lot more strenuous, because they're not seeking help sooner. Like before, they might come down and they might be down there for a walk feeling low, and we'd meet them sooner. But what's been happening is that they're coming down kind of at the end of their tether. And so things are more physical. And there might have been, like, there was more counselling face to face. And people are finding that difficult as well, that there's not as much face-to-face counselling. So they're walking around the river thinking about things, and that's when we come across them, you know.
Isn't it funny that the river seems to, a friend of mine wrote a very powerful song, he's Limerick man, The River Calling. And it's just a very powerful song. And I'll actually include it in this interview. Because Dago Purcell is his name. He's actually a taxi driver, originally from Garryowen, but a singer-songwriter. But he wrote that about suicide. It had impacted him. It's a very powerful song, and I will include that. But do you think it's not getting any easier for people?
No, I don't think so. I think, as Yvonne said, that when lockdown was happening, everyone was sort of in the same position, in the sense that people weren't going out. So if you were indoors, kind of, you weren't seeing people passing up and down your house, and through the radio and media and stuff, you were hearing, everyone was kind of feeling the same. And then I think when things started to ease, if you had financial worries, if there was, job loss, if there was different issues happening domestically that were exacerbated during COVID, and when people seemed to get back out there, it sort of hit them just a wallop that their circumstances weren't good, that things weren't okay. And as Yvonne said, the lack of, and understandably, I know, but the lack of face-to-face counselling seemed to be a lot for people, and a lot find it difficult to do on the phone. They need that connect. Having someone actually looking at them,
physically,
them, near them, that sort of physical closeness. And I think it's why we've been pretty successful in helping people at the river, is because we have kept that, even all during COVID, we have kept that human contact.
You have had to. I mean, that's the thing about human contact. I've interviewed a few people now who were involved in mental health, and one girl who at one stage thought of killing her own children and herself because of the abuse she had taken all through her life, and from family and sex trafficking and that by her family. And the one thing that all of them say is that the power of touch, the power of being physically in the presence of somebody. Zoom is all very well and good, and I know there are psychotherapists and that who've said to me their businesses have opened up because they can have people from America or all over the world who don't feel, well, I'm never going to see you again if I switch off the computer, so I can be anonymous. But it's not the same as being able to just walk in, sit down, have a cup of tea, and get a hug from somebody. And we've been, not only have we been locked up in our houses, but we've been deprived of the physical contact with another human being, which is we're social animals.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much you tell a person, stay home, stay safe. But if your home isn't your safe place, if your home is the least safe place that you can be, then you were going to be meeting people like yourselves on a daily basis. So what do you think of that? Are you meeting people? Do you find out the human story behind the person that's attempting suicide or sadly has? Do you find out why they've gone down? Do you ever get to the point where you're talking to them at the side of the river before and preventing them from going in? So you know.
Yeah, Mary, we do. Basically, what we do is we're just walking around saying hello to everybody. I mean, we come across people that just saying hello puts a smile on their faces, and that's initially just a simple thing, saying hello, how are you? And they smile and they go, good, thank you, and they carry on. I mean, it's as simple as that sometimes for people. But yeah, when we do come across somebody, we go over to them and we say, hello, are you okay? And they mightn't want to engage. And if they don't want to engage, but we see they're upset, we'll walk away and then we'll watch them from a distance and we'll just see what they're doing, how they're getting on. And then we'll engage again. Sometimes it might be a second team. We might call a second team, depending. But most of the time it's the first team. We'll engage again then and we'll say, look, what's going on? Are you okay? And they'll straight away, nearly straight away, they'll say, it's not a good day for me. We get everything. We hear absolutely everything. You'd be shocked what we hear. Yeah. But we do. We get the full story 99% of the time off people. And from there, then we can gauge how do we process with the person? Like, do we need to call the guards? Obviously, if it's physical, sometimes you have to call the guards, the ambulance. If we can't get a family member or a friend down to them, we'll always say, is there a friend? Is there a family member that we can get down here? And, and they'll go, no, they don't know. And most of the times they'll say yes, they'll allow a friend or a family member down. And that's great then, because then they can move forward together, that they're not on their own. And sometimes when they won't, and we know that they're a danger to themselves, we then have to call in ambulance and ask for an ambulance to come and, carry on. They take it from there. But yeah, we hear everything, don't we? Yeah.
There's a very powerful image I've seen, and I'll try and find it and put it into this. It was taken in London on the bridge, and a young man is trying to commit suicide, or to take his own life, I should say. And a group of people have wrapped their arms around through the rungs and wrapped their arms around his body, and someone has a rope tied around his legs and around his waist, and they're holding the rope. And you're looking at the people that are doing it, and they're clearly, by their physical appearances, are from all nationalities and all colors, and they come together in that very, very special moment, I suppose, when a person's life is just hanging on the balance. And it just shows you that at a stage like that, people, it doesn't matter who you are, you'll all come together to try and prevent what is a permanent solution to a temporary problem in many cases.
Exactly. And we have found that, Mary, with passers-by, with taxi drivers, with people maybe in their car and they see us running because we might have got a call. and they'll stop their car and they'll say, do you need help? And they'll say, jump in, we'll take you. Or if it's somebody walking past and they see something happening, they'll intervene themselves. The public are fantastic. Mm-hmm. They're really very good at trying to help people.
Do you get funding from the government for any of this? Or is it all solely reliant on sponsorship?
All sponsorship and all fundraising is from so we have the public and we have companies and corporate companies that sponsor us. I have to say we're very lucky. The people of Limerick and beyond and the companies are very good to us. They're very good. They're very good. Just one thing you were saying about the hug and the intervention on the bridge with the man. Our logo was actually designed by one of our members. Lucio O'Hara. And if you actually see it, there's an orange figure and the arm is around the person. And that's us saying, you're okay, we have you, you're safe. Yeah. And that's what our logo is.
But I don't think when the lockdown was in full force, I don't think people realized the impact. And I think it was, personally, I think it was appalling when you constantly see on TV, stay home, stay safe, and we're all in this together, when we're clearly not all in this together. And it's a slap in the face to people who are locked in their homes with the very people who are abusing them, whether it's a parent or a husband or a wife, and they cannot even get out of their house to get help. And our only alternative, and in many cases they can't even get to a stage where they meet someone like you. And I don't think enough attention was given to the mental health of people who aren't safe in their homes, and who will end up, in many cases, being the very people that you are out there every night trying to protect. On an average day, what would you do? You go out every night?
Yeah, we go out 4 nights a week. Basically a Monday, a Tuesday, a Thursday, and a Saturday. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday is 9 o'clock till our shift is over. Yeah. And then Saturday night we start at 12 o'clock at night till 4, 5, 6 in the morning. There's a lot of people that walk the bridges and they're in a good state. It's a lovely place to walk at night. We come across lots of people, good form walking. We're there for the ones that are feeling vulnerable at the time. I mean, people do come down to us. We had somebody actually from Mayo a number of years ago came down, heard about the group, wanted to speak about something, couldn't speak to the family members. So was at the railing. We just happened to walk by, say hello, and intervention for an hour, but it was good. It was a good intervention. We knew he was safe. He left. He went home to tell his family where he was in his life. But I suppose we didn't, when COVID started, we thought, should we not patrol anymore? But we actually rang Henry Street and we got permission and we were told we were essential service to keep on going. So we spoke to all our members, didn't we? And so we said, look, we wanted to carry on being there for the people of Limerick, even during the danger of it, of catching it. We knew if we go out there, there's a higher risk of us catching COVID. But as we've always said, Limerick Suicide Watch is there for the people and will always be there for the people.
But that's another thing. And, it was a phrase you just used there now, essential service. That was another thing that during COVID was difficult for people, because if you're going out every day and your job is the only thing that's keeping your bread on the table, keeping the bills paid, no matter what it is, it's essential.
Yeah, and
and when I was hearing constantly, this was playing on my mind all the time when I'd hear the phrase essential service, I was thinking, how can you define what's essential from one person to another. Driving a taxi is essential to somebody who earns their living, pays their children's schooling, pays their bills. And when all of that is taken away because you're told, well, you're not a nurse, you're not a doctor, you're not a teacher, you're not A, B, C, D, and E, and you're pigeonholed, that can play in people's minds as well, because they think, well, you know, my work is not essential. I'm no longer important. I'm not even considered important to my family, because they're looking at me and they're thinking, well, you're not doing an essential job. So it's setting, it was a phrase that was, to me, setting, I'm not saying anything to you, it was just the phrase that the government came out with, essential workers. And I just had a major problem with that, because I just thought, you know, everyone's job is essential to them, to get them through, whether it's a psychological essentiality or it's financial, but it's all essential to people to get them through a day.
I suppose I like, when I say that, I didn't mean like we were essential.
No, I understand.
We were just, we wanted to make sure that we were doing the right thing by carrying on. Absolutely. We weren't just saying we're going out and doing it because we want to do it. We just wanted to confirm that we were doing the right thing by the lay of the land, you know.
I don't want you to misinterpret. I just mean the government's phrase, putting us all into that. You would even have to ask that. Are we okay to go out? Of course, you should have been okay to go out. You're absolutely and utterly essential. But you know, I think that it caused a lot of mental problems for people when they thought that their work wasn't deemed as important, or they weren't relevant. They could be done without. And did you find that a lot of people were thinking like that? They were no longer.
Like we came across, I suppose we came across a lot of everything, different situations, but we did, on numbers, we've always said it's 50-50. They say this, Limerick is actually 50-50 when it comes to men and women.
Yeah.
And it very much so is in Limerick. It's kind of a 50-50 situation. Yeah. But we did find we were coming across more women during the lockdowns because of, you know, situations at home and stuff like that. But we did come across quite a lot of people that were out of work due to bars, restaurants, pubs, hotels. And we came across a lot of people that were just feeling low and needed to talk, you know. So we came across a lot, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I think there was a bit of, as you said, a bit of discontent with people that they felt they weren't really being considered in the relevancy of everything, and that that there was I'm sure unintentionally, I'm 100% sure, but that there was a difference made between people, or, you know, what they did, their service, whatever it was, so Joe wasn't as important as Mary, because
this is exactly what I'm saying.
And it caused discontent then, I think, and so that kind of made, when you're at home and you're thinking oh, this isn't fair, why, you know, and if you've nowhere to bounce that off, it sort of can play in your mind. And I think it just, for some people, it definitely caused them to make their mental health situation worse.
I find that especially when some people can't work from home, when their job is essential to them, but it's not something that you can actually work from home doing. You can't drive a taxi from home. You can't do many jobs from home. But so, you know, it's just, I mean, I think my dad was a caretaker in school, and he, you know, I thought he was the most important man in the world. And he was to me, and his job was the most important. And I, you know, he would probably have been considered a non-essential worker now, or during COVID. And I was thinking to myself, you know, how would it have? He was so quiet. It probably wouldn't have. He would have kept it. He would have internalized it. He wouldn't have told us he was worried. But there are many like that who wouldn't outwardly express how they're feeling, If it was me, I'd vocalize it more. My mother would certainly have vocalized it. Everyone would have known if she was feeling that she was under pressure. But and people, and it's the people who internalize these problems who are the people who probably will actually. You'd never know that they were actually depressed. Probably they never told anybody that they were depressed until the particular moment when they couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel, and that's when you meet them.
We came across, I came across a few people that say they're working the jobs where they had to work. They had to go to work, and those people were under a lot of strain. Few people now spoke to because they had to go to work. They didn't want to go to work. They prefer to have actually stayed at home and be safe, and they had to go to work. And they were talking about when the vaccine came out and stuff like that. Why are we not getting the vaccine? There was an awful lot of stress in different ways with COVID to people. Some people wanted to stay at home, but they couldn't stay at home. Some people wanted to go to work and they couldn't go to work. So it was an awful situation.
It was,
and
yeah.
still is an awful situation.
And for some people, financially, they have done really well, because you've heard how many, is it 30 billion or something that was saved in the last 2 years by households? And that's great for those people, because they hadn't had the wherewithal, whatever, to spend the money, so they were able to save it. There's an awful lot of people whose bills would have been based on their weekly salary, which could have been €600 or €700 a week, and now they're down to 350, whatever the PUP payment was. So their bills are based on the higher rate, and they don't have it. And they're absolutely pushing back all the bills, and they're all under strain as well.
Well, the bills are going up.
Yeah. So there's been, it has caused huge problems in so many different areas. I suppose it was such a huge learning curve for the entire world. People are trying to handle it as best they can. And it's, I suppose, services like us are there to help people when they're struggling, and at least there's someone there that they can talk to, and someone that they can meet, as you said, physically. So that's why I think when lockdown eased, we definitely got busier.
Yeah, do you know who I feel sorry for? Well, hugely empathetic towards are, say, mothers who are in hotels with their children, or parents who are in hotels and they're expected on an average day to be out of the hotel at 9 o'clock to have the children at school, and then they can't go back in until 9 or something at night time. But during COVID, they were either locked inside in the hotel all day with children, or they were wandering the streets with no place to go because every place was locked. That is just absolutely detrimental to a person. Again, going back to stay home, stay safe, if you haven't got a home.
Yeah.
And you haven't got money to feed your children, and you see them hungry, and you see them without what other children have, the laptops that they can actually do their homework or go on Zoom and do their Zoom classes. Not every child has the luxury of a Zoom class.
I know, yeah.
And and we don't think of that. There's children. You do a lot of outreach in schools.
Yeah, we do. We do outreach in schools. They contact us and ask us to come in, and basically we just do a talk about what we do and how we do it, and say to the children, you need to talk. Talk to each other. If you see that the guy next to you or the girl next to you is a little bit low and is starting to pull back, don't think, oh, they'll be okay, and next minute they're not there. The next day, you need to interact with each other and talk, and are you okay? And very much part of that, isn't it? Talk is the most important thing between them. And we speak about bullying. Bullying isn't a good thing, but we also go to corporate. We go to companies as well.
Yeah, we go around to different factories. We'll give talks. Now, obviously, with COVID, that was completely. We did a few on Zoom talks and that, but mostly they have stopped. They're starting to kind of pick up again. But during Mental Health Week, we'll go to the colleges.
We're there in UL today. We have a team in UL.
And we'll set up and we'll have our, literature, and people will come and talk to us. And, unfortunately, some of them will have known someone who has taken their life, and it gives them a chance to find out where there's help available, or to talk about it to people who kind of have an idea of what they're going through, because we've spoken to quite a lot of people, obviously, through that. So it's a huge help, I think, going to the different colleges and businesses. And you'd be surprised, one of the things that we do when we give a talk, especially in companies and stuff, at the end, is not all the time, but sometimes we might ask, if people are comfortable, if anyone wants to put up their hand if they've been affected by suicide, and you'd be surprised the amount of people that could be in a room, and you might see the hands going up, and and people are looking and they're kind of going, I didn't know, and it helps them to know that there's somebody else in their company that understands.
Yeah, they might not be able to talk about it themselves, but at least when they see someone else putting their hand up.
That's right, yeah. And a lot of the companies as well are doing sort of mental health awareness groups in their companies. So they will have they do mental health first aid, and they have people in there. So they'll ask us to come and give a talk, and then it's just the awareness is hugely important, and the fact that everyone knows that it's good to talk. The best thing to do is to be able to open up and not bottle stuff up.
The one thing about Limerick Suicide Watch is a lot of people have said is we've brought it to the forefront.
Yeah.
People are now talking about it. And when we came up with the name, that was it. Like, we were thinking, is it a bit harsh? But it's not, because people come up and they say, since Limerick Suicide Watch had started, people are now talking. They're saying, have you seen the guys down there, and they're getting help. People are getting help. But even with our awareness campaigns and our Facebook, it's actually making people talk about it, which is very good.
Yeah. Well, we're also, when I say we're also, my show is associated with the Samaritans, Limerick and Tipperary, but my colleague, Pat Barry, one of the girls we interviewed, he interviewed, was a girl I became friendly with on Facebook, and she set up in Georgia, the Yellow Elephant in memory of her friend who also took her life. It's really well worth looking up. They do a lot of events and that, the elephant is kind of like the elephant in the room, and that's where she came up with the concept. But it's a fantastic organization as well, and she was talking to us. We were thinking of trying to do something to try and raise awareness of internationally between the Yellow Elephant and the Samaritans and ourselves, try and promote mental health awareness. But how important do you think it should be as I won't say a subject in school, because children have enough subjects in school, but to have a kind of a downtime every day inside in class where people can, you see in lots of countries now that they bring in meditation and things like that, where they have
mindfulness and that,
mindfulness and a relaxation room that people can go to. I know it sounds hippie and dippy, but any place that somebody can go, or even to have a counsellor in every school that children can go to if they feel that they're overwhelmed with anything.
I think it's very important. I mean, I was talking to one of our volunteers there, and I'd never heard of it, and they have a safe word in their house. And in something as simple as that, if the school has a safe word, that if somebody, there's something going on they can't talk about, or whatever the situation is, that they have a safe word, like, say, Tinkerbell. And they could just go up to the teacher and say, Tinkerbell. And then that teacher knows that person needs to leave the room or go with them or something. it's a safe word. And like, I mean,
Very
that's
good.
very important. Like, I think is like the schools, it's a very simple thing is to have a safe word that, and also, as you're saying, meditation, like no harm to do something like that and speak about feelings and bullying. Bullying is a massive thing. We've seen this within Limerick. I've seen it within friends of mine with their children. Their children have had to leave schools because of bullying. I think it's really important for schools to have a safe word, have mindfulness. It's very important. And
what we do, we patrol the river at night, looking to meet anyone that may be in distress, contemplate taking their own lives by into the water. We interact with them, we get to know what their problems are as best we can, and basically just to make them safe.
We just want to help people, and you can see that how much it does help somebody, and just by chatting to them, just, you know, you might be the only person that spoke to them for weeks, or for days, or for nights. And just to know that they get home okay, you certainly take away an awful lot more out of it than I suppose what some people think that what we give, we definitely get more out of it, I think.
And subject is sex education. And no, the word no means no.
Consent has to be taught from junior infants all the way up.
Yeah.
Consent to someone holding your hand, or someone giving you a kiss when you don't want it, or all those things, I think are huge.
Or somebody speaking down to you. I mean, I think I don't think that gets enough of attention. I mean, I was bullied in school only once, I have to say, and my mum found out about it through somebody else, and she put a stop to it. The school put a stop to it, and thankfully. But you know, I think they pray if they see vulnerability at all. I've lived with my mother, and my father was in England, and they saw that I didn't have, say, a father in the house at the time, and they harp on children that they see, and it's something you carry through your life. It never goes away, that sense of vulnerability. Or you're always seen. You always think that you're seen as being somebody that can be belittled, or somebody that people can speak down to, and it never goes away. So I think it has to be stopped, and it has to be from the bottom. Schools have to take it on, and so do parents, and they shouldn't be afraid to go to the teachers and say, my child is being bullied, and it needs to stop. And I think, you know, but schools do need to nip but before the child ends up having to be somebody that you're talking off a.
Yeah, I was bullied at school. I was bullied for about a year and a half. I think around the age of 8 and 9, and it was physical bullying as well as mental.
Yeah,
and this is where the safe word would be very good in a school. You know, just it could be anything. You know, once they say that word to the teacher, they know then that the child, whatever it is, that this is a safe word. They need help. You know, and we can cover a multitude of things with it.
I got a cup of tea. Somebody brought me a cup of tea. It is vitally important that teachers listen, that schools listen. I was lucky. We had a head nun that knew exactly before. I wouldn't say who it was, and my mom didn't know who they were, but the principal knew, and she put a stop to it instantly. And then, of course, I was so upset because I didn't want her to be making a scene, and I was afraid that they were going to get into trouble and I was going to be the cause of it. And but it had to be done. And these are things that have to be done. You work on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights.
Yes.
And you cover Christmas nights New Year's Eve, junior and leaving cert results and so on. How bad can it get on junior cert and leaving cert results?
Well,
That,
obviously the last couple of years with COVID and everything, things have changed. But I think a lot of the time the stuff with junior cert, even more than leaving cert, it actually would be alcohol related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately they're young. Not unfortunately they're young. Unfortunately, because they're young, they're sort of maybe would have been one of their first big nights out. They're getting all dressed up. They're having drinks and stuff like that, and then kids, you know, their emotions are all over the place. Might not be just to do with exams. It could be with a lot of things. So I think, it's particularly with junior cert night, when we've dealt with people, it would be mostly alcohol related, I think. Do you think?
Yeah. I suppose with colleges, then we the start of their what's it called? The start of their
Refresher.
refresher. The start of
their first year.
Yeah, their first year. We do come across quite a lot of students that, you know, that they've gone into a course that's not working for them. They're in the house isn't working for them. There's a lot of things. First time away from home, missing their parents. So like, we kind of know now. We have we know now at this stage where the peak for certain things are. Like, as you said, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, New Year's, students' exams. So we kind of know, and we say, right, we need to maybe get stronger teams out these nights. And when I say stronger, we might bring one or two extra members out that night, because we know we're probably going to be busier those nights, you know.
it's a fantastic commitment from people to go out on Christmas night and to go out. You know, it really is an act of love.
Yeah, I have to be honest.
Your fellow man.
We have a fantastic group of volunteers.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic group of volunteers.
Yeah.
The dedication that they're all doing is massive, and
all of them are, certainly 99% of them are working.
yeah.
So they've their jobs, they've their families, and they still come out in the pouring rain at 12 o'clock at night on a Saturday night and stay out until 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then get up and take their son or daughter to a soccer match or a hurling or trail, something like that.
Yeah.
And collegiality as well.
Yeah.
There's a great sense of collegiality when you're all together and you've all got that one aim, and that is to protect life.
But we also protect each other. We're very, like, all of us, like, you know, everyone, like, I might notice Joan is a little low, or, you know, another member, and I'll say to somebody, you know, Joan seems a little low today, and we all really glue together and look after each other.
Yeah.
As we say, if we're not good, how can we help people out there?
That's important. I was actually going to ask you, what happens to yourselves in all of this? You know, you're so focused on saving lives and making sure that people don't take that ultimate step, that there's no coming back from. And, you know, I often think that if people actually had somebody at all times, like the two of you ladies and the people in Limerick Suicide Watch, would they take that step? Is it a cry for help that goes wrong, that they can't come back from? Who looks after you when the night that it doesn't come right for you, or that you lose somebody?
I suppose the first thing that we do, well, you know, once an intervention is over and, you know, we've handed them either to a family member or to the services or whatever, and usually we all just hug.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we check, make sure everyone is okay. And when our patrol shift is over, when we come back to base, we will have a chat. There's a person on the night would be called Alpha 1. It's just they're the sort of person that is making sure everything is ticked, and they check with everybody. Are you okay? You know, when we have a cup of tea, do you want to talk? That's when the shift is over. Then the following day, they send a report to the page to let the welfare team know that there has been an intervention. We check and find out who was involved. We make a phone call to each of the people that were involved to check on them. We either arrange to meet them ourselves if they feel that's necessary, or also we can arrange for them to either have a group session with everyone that was involved and a counsellor as well, just to talk it through. It's not a counselling session, but it's a way of all kind of giving their perspective of what they've seen or what they've felt, or if it's been, hard enough on a person. And it could be just something that might trigger something in yourself, that they can have an individual session with counsellor, and as many as they want. We have a counsellor on board who will look after all our members as well. So, and then we follow that up a couple of, maybe a week, or depending on the situation, or a couple of weeks later, and check in again. If it's severe enough, we ask the person to take maybe a couple of weeks off, not to come back on patrol until they feel they're okay.
I mean, it's not an easy job. It's all grand when you're able to save somebody, but when it goes wrong, and it has to has to have some effect on people. We're all only human, and you're not impervious to suffering yourself. When you think back, it's bound to have an effect, and you need to have somebody there that's there for you. And I suppose you're all there for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes when you're speaking to a person at the river, their despair that they have it's so difficult for you looking on or trying to help them, and you can't, and you're thinking of everything, trying to say the right thing, trying to make sure they're okay. But it can stay with you. It can stay with you. So that's why it's so important that we have a welfare team and counsellors as well, to make sure that our own members are okay afterwards, because it can be traumatic, or it can be difficult.
Is there a training a regime that you go through beforehand? It's just something you said there now. I thought to myself, if you went out and said the wrong thing, you were afterwards, like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
I mean, you might, with the best will and intention, say something that will actually trigger somebody. Is there a level of training that you'd go through beforehand to know the things not to say?
Yeah, I suppose really what we do when we do our training with everybody, like we have certain training things like riverside training and stuff. You never make a mistake. Never make a mistake. You're only human, and don't beat yourself up. So, like, even if you did say something that triggered somebody, that might actually be a good thing, because that's the little box that they're hiding in the back of their head, and they don't want to talk about it. And that's the one that brings them to that situation. So, like, even if you said something like the bottle of water is upsetting you, and next minute, that's it, they explode. That's actually a good thing, because that's opened the box for their mind. As for training, what happens is when somebody contacts us, they meet our recruitment team. We have a massive, officers and committee format there. So they meet our our recruitment team, and from there then they do an interview. After that, then they have to be Garda vetted. And once they're Garda vetted, then they move forward. And they have a 3-month probation. And during the 3 months, they have to have child protection done. On assist, which is arranged by the HSC. Now, that's not obviously in a room anymore. It's online at the moment. But we also have our own kind of awareness assist that we do in-house now as well, from what we've learnt as we go along. So we have safe talk, basic first aid, CPR, defibrillator training, throwbag training, radio procedures, manual handling, personal safety riverside, man in the water drills, ligature release training, and child protection. So we have them
full on. It's a full on training.
Yeah, a full-on training, yeah. And we try to like get a certain amount of the training done. Okay, first aid, CPR, we mightn't be able to get them in the 3 months. It might be during the course of the 6 months, but you'll always have a member on the team that will know how to do CPR, first aid. So during those 3 months, then that gives the person a chance to find out, is it suitable for them? Do you know what I mean? From walking for 4 hours. Sorry.
And are they suitable for the
Yes,
work?
100%. You can't do this voluntary work if you have an attitude towards anything. You have to be totally. I can't think of the word. You have to be completely neutral with everything.
Yes, unbiased.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of it. Yeah. And that's one thing we say to people, you have to be totally unbiased here, because we meet everybody, all different situations. Do you know what I mean?
And one of our rules is you have to be over 25.
Yes.
To join, because it's with advice from the HSE as well that for their mental health, their life experiences and stuff like that, if a person is too young, it could be detrimental to their own self. And also that I'm after losing it.
Do you have a rise in numbers? Has it been rising in numbers of people joining and wanting to?
It's always been pretty good.
We've had to put pauses on it now and again. During COVID, for example, during the lockdown, we had to pause recruitment, especially the first 2 lockdowns.
Yeah.
But we've always kind of had a waiting list of people wanting to join. One of the other thing I wanted to say was that if you have had a suicide in your family or a close person,
yourself,
or if your own self, you have felt suicidal within 2 years of what you can't be involved. You can't even do assist course. That's the applied suicide intervention skills. I'm sure you know it, because it just can bring up too much stuff for you,
Yeah.
So we are very careful with the people, with the members, with the volunteers. As Yvonne said, have to be the priority, because if we don't look after each other and ourselves, then we can't look after anyone else.
That's so true. I mean, self-care is so important, because in protecting yourselves, you're putting yourself in a better position to help others. It's like everything else, you can't help others unless you can help yourself first. Because if you're not strong enough, you're not going to be strong enough to help anyone else. What's upcoming now for you, and how can people send money or whatever to you, or how can people help you best?
Yeah, I suppose, if people want to donate, they can donate to Limerick Suicide Watch through I Donate, or they can contact Limerick Suicide Watch through our website. But we don't even like talking about that, to be honest.
But the sad reality is, I know it's money is an ugly word.
Yeah, it's an ugly word. Yeah.
Until you haven't it, and then it's even uglier.
Yeah,
but
true.
The sad reality is that organisations like yours are so dependent on and on kindness. It's all very well and good people saying, "Aren't you fantastic? Aren't you doing a great job?" There, but eventually, if you haven't got the funds to keep it going, to train people, someone has to get paid to train all of the workers, to supply the equipment that you need. Bicycles, it's like actually a little mini Garda force.
It costs at the moment. The running costs is like 70,000 a year to run the group. And it does cost an awful lot to just manage the group and run the group, between training, equipment, everything. But what we do have is
You know, sorry for interrupting you. That is a lot of money to you,
Yeah. Mm.
but that is not a lot of money to a government, and or to large investors or people who see the importance of investing money in people like you who are doing absolutely essential, utterly essential. We're back to the essential work, but an essential voluntary job, all giving of your time. How can you do that if you haven't got the money? If you
100%, yeah, 100%. What we have coming up actually is we have our Christmas markets coming up.
Excellent.
And this is something we love doing. It's a way for us to give back to the people of Limerick. We have to say the milk market in Limerick, David Fitz, is very good to us. He gives us a free stall every year. So what we do is we have a stall and then we set up a Santa grotto up somewhere in the market, usually upstairs. And what we do is we have a photographer that comes along and he does the photographs free. It's all free. Our stall, we sell our support gear. Basically, it's like if we buy if we buy a sweatshirt at €19.50, we sell it at €20.
Yes.
Basically what it is, it's awareness. So it has just our logo and then it says we support. There's another one and then we have another one then it's good to talk down the arm.
Fabulous.
And that's basically like it's raising awareness. It's getting people to say what's LSW, and then they go, oh, that's Limerick Suicide Watch, and they go, oh, what's that? And then that's where you bring in the suicide and people talking about it. So there'll be buckets there for that, but also the Santa Grotto then is we either print photographs or we send the photograph. It's a free Santa Grotto for people can take their children or go as friends. Instead of having to go to somewhere and spend 20, 30, 40, 50 euros, it's a way for Limerick Suicide Watch to give back to the people, but there are donation buckets there as well.
Did you ever think of doing a Christmas CD?
I don't know, are we good enough singers?
I organised a Christmas CD one time for the School for the Deaf, a Limerick School for the Deaf. We raised 3,500 in one day.
Very good.
If we had actually done it a week beforehand, we could have raised several thousand, but we were just, we were taken away with the process of actually going to Dennis Allen's studio and what one take, and Brian Meehan, who I worked with in Bunratty, he played the music for us, and then he put in he dubbed in all the background, the sound, the orchestras. So it sounded like an orchestra, whereas in actual fact we just did it with a piano.
Sounds great.
Piano, and then he put in and Dennis did all the, and then Jutech in the Dock Road, they produced all the CDs for us.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Very, very good to us, Jutech. So if you're ever thinking that would be a good way of be amazed at how good it is to actually get people the whole group together to sing as a group. And then, of course, you'll always have the ones who are not so nervous and will actually come out and sing a solo. It's a good way of bonding as well. I did it with the neighbours in my road in St. Lawrence Park.
Oh, very good.
15 of us got together, but it was real bonding.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we are often thinking of things to do together as team bonding. I might suggest let's all sing
Christmas CD.
I'm and not sing. That's fine.
No. You can sing as part of the group. If you can sing as part of the group, a friend of mine came along to train us, and she went around the room and she'd say, "Good, okay, grand, mime." Because one of the girls used to smoke a lot, so she was really about 4 off the
I like that. Yeah, I'd be definitely a mime.
So yeah, but it's fantastic. But listen, ladies, I'm going to actually put your logo up on my show from now on.
Oh, thank you so much. And actually, one of the things, Mary, that we have as well is we have an app.
Yeah.
That if anyone, it's a what do you call this? What do you call the code? The square thing. What's that called? I'm so not technical. A QR code.
QR code.
And if anyone clicks onto it,
Limerick Suicide app.
Oh yes. So they type in Limerick Suicide Watch app.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, Mary. I know it's with the QR code. You just take the website. You go to the website and you can get it. And it gives a list of all the services that are available all over Limerick for drug and alcohol awareness, for LGBT, for rape crisis, everything.
Excellent. Send me on. Can you send those on to me?
Yeah.
Can you scan those in and email them to me, and I'll include them in this interview.
Absolutely, because it's great for people who are not from the area. And when we go to the colleges, we make sure we tell the students, you don't know where the services are. So if they go on this and they can see all the services, it gives them a map of where they are. It gives them the phone numbers, the email addresses, and that way they can link into all of them, Samaritans, everything. They can get any help then hopefully that they need.
Basically, this app is the only one in the country. We were given the app by a company, fair play to them, for ourselves. So it's for ourselves, but we realised that, we could do something with this. And this is where we came up with the idea to include services. So, and it's a great thing because people can just click on. So say if I was worried about Joan, I wasn't sure what was going on, I can look down all the services then and read about it.
I'm worried about you, Joan.
I'm very worried about it, yeah.
Oh, it's lovely. It's caring is sharing, or sharing.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's something that we're really trying to get people to be aware of, because to know where to go is a huge thing. To know what's available to you. It is huge for, as I said, particularly students or people not from the area or that. So having that to hand, we have the stickers in different shops and stuff as well. The people in Limerick and surrounding areas are so good to us. They help in any way they can. And it's on the Post newspaper. It's the QR code is printed there every week on the paper. Take it up.
And your email is, or your website is www.limericksuicidewatch.ie.
That's it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, you've been inspirational. You've been fantastic.
Thank you so much.
And it's a double-edged sword to say long may you continue, because the reality is that your success as an organization, I suppose, is based on how many people you prevent from taking that ultimate and
since we started in 2016 with the bones of 600 plus interventions. So
when they talk about COVID and they talk about an epidemic, there's nothing more epidemic than suicide.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's nothing being done at government level. I don't think there's enough.
The governments need to invest more. They need to invest more with everything, all the services out there. They need to invest more.
Yeah.
You can only do what you can do with the money that you're given. We're different, you know what I mean? But the hospitals and all the facilities out there, they can only do so much as well, and at the end of the day, we'd be lost without them at the same time,
Yeah. And mental health needs to be more of a priority. I think mental health care needs to be much more of a priority than it is at the moment.
It shouldn't happen. I interviewed Joan Freeman, Senator Joan Freeman, on the show. She was actually, I think she was the first person I interviewed from mental health organization. And, you know, it's sad to think that people have to go out for organizations like Joan's and Darkness into Light and the Samaritans and you and all of that have to go out and basically depend on the public. You know, the government should be putting so much into education and so much into prevention and helping organizations like you, so that you can relax and just focus on the job at hand, which is to patrol the bridges and make sure that, as I say, that people
someone's in distress. Yeah. And I think we want to be there for the families and that as well. Then, you know, that's one of our aims as well eventually.
Yeah, Limerick, we have a 5-year project. We're coming to the end of the 5-year project now, but we're moving forward. And there's a lot of things that we want to move forward, but we actually can't. I mean, we're very fortunate that Shannon Properties have given us a base here in the Tate Centre. Yeah, and they're very good to us. But we need to get our own home. We need to get our own base, properly a unit, preferably somewhere. We've been trying for years around the city and it's not working for us. So now we're looking out the Dock Road, and we need to build something for Limerick Suicide Watch so we can move other projects forward. Like we want to work with, we do training with Limerick Marine Search and Rescue. And there's something we want to do is when their boat is out, say a recovery, they've said to us, you know, there's families screaming, going up and down the river for 3 hours. We want to open up a room, if we had, you know, the room to do it, and have a room there that if there is someone down there, you know, waiting and screaming, that we can bring them up and we can keep them safe. And then when their patrol is over on the river, that, you know, we say, look, you know, they'll come up and explain what happened. That we can be for the families there as well that are unfortunate to have lost somebody. It's just tragic, and I don't think there's a person in the country, in the world, that doesn't know somebody.
Yeah.
Found life so overwhelmingly difficult. I lost both my parents within. Well, Mum was diagnosed 2 days after my dad died, and
oh Lord.
You just think to yourself, what was it about me that, you know, you just keep going, and you know, and I just think it's just I don't know what it is that actually makes some people keep going despite things, and other people that just feel that it just gets too much for them. I don't know what point you have to get to be at that point where you take.
Yeah. I suppose everyone has their breaking points, and they're different for different people. And some people have strength that they've built up, and some people that strength has been depleted over with lots of different things. You just don't know what it is, where it is with each individual.
It must take something completely horrific for somebody to make that decision.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's sort of the last tragic act for them. You know, that they feel the despair is so bad that they don't see anything else, and that's where hopefully, and I think when we're there at the river, it gives them a chance to pause, to think. To say, actually, there is somebody who cares about me, and there is someone who is here for me, and that's what we're about. That's why we're there.
Harken back to reality for a moment. Take them out of their own mind for a moment. Well, ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure to have Joan Forde and Yvonne Cook. Joan Forde with an E. And Cook without an E, on the show today. You represent the finest of Limerick, and
thank you very much.
And I mean, I'm a hugely proud Limerick woman. I'm born in the UK, but hugely proud Limerick woman, and people like you reinforce why I am so proud of this city, and long may it continue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
People's lives. And Shindera Lesh on Clor, that's the end of the show for today. Until the next time, Lacuna Day. Bawalam Tugaler Chiacona, Sonas Agus Groy, wish you peace, happiness, and love. Agus Gaday Shiv Sloan. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.